In this video, I make a candy cane fence that looks really cool. For the poles that go up and down, I cut those to 3 feet, and the ones that go across are cut to 4 feet. I'm using 1-inch PVC on the ends, 3/4 inch for the others, and the candy canes are 1/2 inch. So for the vertical poles, you can cut those at various lengths if you want. I chose to cut them at 3 feet, and if you've got a PVC cutter, this works really great at Schedule 40 pipe, but I'm using a thinner pipe here, and it didn't quite get through, so I had to use my hacksaw. It's very easy to cut PVC with. And I cut 3 sections from the 3/4 inch pipe and then 2 sections for the 1-inch pipe for the end poles. I did a quick job of cleaning the ends using a scissor and a razor blade and just scoring away all the debris from cutting. Then I went ahead on the 3/4 inch pipe and measured out 2 4-foot sections to cut for the horizontal railings that are going to join the pipes together. You may want to get rid of the writing that's on there, the stamping that they put on the PVC, and you could do that using acetone. So just go ahead and okay, so for my candy cane stripes, I'm using red duct tape, but especially if you put it on that thinner PVC, those stripes are going to be really thick. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our red duct tape here, and we're just going to make a cut right down the middle and hold down that half while I pull up the other one, and that's going to give us our line for the duct tape. We're just going to start at the top here, and I can cut that off if I need to later, and just go on down. It's all about starting out at the right angle. For the most part, if you keep it tight, it's going to stay the same width between the lines. You may have to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to wrap that in at the top. Same thing at the bottom. Then we've got our candy cane pole. I find it a little easier to use the same side on a couple poles in a row to get some depth. It's easier that it separates rather than alternating between one side and then the other. It's just a lot easier to get the strip off if you just stay on one side for a couple poles and then go to the other one. So I did another video on how to bend PVC in order to make these candy canes, and I'm going to go ahead and link it at the end of the video and in the description below. So I'm not going to lie, wrapping the candy canes are a little bit harder, actually a lot harder than just straight poles, because you can't just turn it and roll with it. You've kind of got to deal with getting in between this thing. Best way I've found is just, whereas I pull tight when wrapping the poles, on this I'm not pulling so tight. I'm really just letting just a couple inches of slack, letting it fall where it can, and trying to keep it as flat, making sure that I don't have too many bubbles. And just take your time with it. Don't worry so much about it lining up perfectly. You could probably use hot glue to go ahead and just glue that together. You could use maybe some fishing line to just twine where the cross members are. You could even cut your end pieces so that you use PVC tees to go ahead and at least get the main frame in place solidly. But I'm going to take a little bit different route. Now you could just drill holes in these and then just bolt them on the outside. Really not going to be able to see that. So I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm making the first hole on the outside big enough so that head's going to go through, and I'm basically just going to put the bolt going through and securing it on the inside, and then tape over this so that you won't be able to see the bolt heads at all. Now for these middle ones, I am, instead of recessing where the bolt goes in like I did with the outer frame, I'm just gonna put the bolt on the outside, mainly just because I haven't done this before and I'm curious as to what it would look, and that way you can kind of see both options and determine what's best for you. So I'm gonna just drill one hole through and the bolt's gonna be sitting on the outside. The holes that I drilled that were recessed, I just used 1.5 inch bolts to go through, number 8s. These, I'm using 2.5 inch, and this is 3/4 to 3/4, so this is not the outside poles, which are 1 inch and 3/4. They would be fine doing that too. As long as you're using 3/4 inch and 1 inch, and you're not using 1 inch on 1 inch, then the 2.5 size bolt should be fine if you're going to go and just bolt on the outside. Just hand tightening with a screwdriver is fine, because you'll see the PVC will start to kind of pinch in as you tighten it. So you don't want to use a wrench or go any tighter, or else you'll end up flattening your PVC pipe. Alright, so for the candy canes, I've only got up to 3-inch bolts on me, but it's not quite long enough to make it through the 2 candy canes and the other pole. So what I'm doing is I am going to recess through the first top candy cane, and again, I'm making that drill where the paint is, kind of just eyeballing, lining it up where I want it, and then I'm making the drill here so that my candy cane lays flat as I make the drill through it. If I did it in place here, there's nothing to keep the candy cane level, so that's about it. We got this, and this is going to go somewhere around here, and if I marked in my pencil like here, I'm just gonna make a little mark. Alright, so the main part of our fence is done. Now it's time to add some trim. Okay, so I probably don't really need to do this. Hot glue will probably hold what I'm about to do by itself, but I always like a little bit more support, so I'm going to go ahead and take this little piece of foam. It's just pipe insulator foam. I always like to have extra of it for projects, and I'm just going to stuff it down inside of the tube, and I'm going to cut any excess. So you can see there's excess sitting up. Cut that excess off with a knife or scissor or whatever. I don't have to be very neat with this. Okay, now I've got that in place. I'm just going to hot glue a bunch around the top and just set this ornament in there. Flip this and put some more hot glue around the bottom rims. Now I've got this bow that I got from Dollar Tree. It's got some metallic thread in it. It's not glitter on it that would wash away. It's metallic thread, and it's got a plastic backing. So I think it'll hold up. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the middle. Use any wire tie. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is make the stakes, and for that what I've got is a 1-inch coupler that is going to go on the outside poles on the bottom, and I've got a reducer, which is a 1-inch to 1/2 inch reducer coupling. And what we're going to do is just take a couple small lengths of 1/2 inch pipe, and that's going to go in the bottom of the reducer. So what we're going to do is this will be our stake. We'll be able to hammer this into the ground and then set the holes up on top of that. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my miter box and I'm going to cut a 45-degree angle on the bottom of this so it'll go into the ground a lot easier. And I've got a cheap plastic miter box. So what I do is I just start my cut in the box. And then finish it up. And so that's going to be the bottom edge of the steak. We can go ahead and just pop them in here, and that will hold without any cement. That's gonna keep it pretty firm. And yeah, so we're just taking these couplers and just sticking them on bottom, going with the roll of the tape, and they go on pretty darn tight without needing anything to cement them on. Okay, so there we have it. I hope you liked the video. Good luck with your projects, and I hope you find time for your projects. If you liked the video, click the like button below, and until next time, Merry Christmas.
And I've got my helper Wyatt.
Just don't try to lick the candy cane, eat the candy cane, or do anything. Just, it's decorative. Just decorative.